Hi there. I'm Laser. I am the writer and performer of A Shark Ate My Penis. I bet you're wondering more, so keep watching. I have loved theater for a very long time. I think the reason that I fell in love with it was I think I probably first fell in love with theater when I was just a kid going to shows with my parents. We had this incredible trip to London when I was like maybe in fourth grade, and we went and saw Cats and we saw Macbeth on the West End, and it was this incredible experience of seeing something done so profoundly well and so emotionally, and that it's just something that you don't see anywhere else. People expressing emotions strongly, and like kind of without shame. So I really enjoy that. I really didn't get into theater until probably the last 5 years, though. I think in middle school and high school, my school had an amazing program, but it was very competitive. At the time, I was a kind of an awkward little kid. I was, still in the closet. I hadn't transitioned, and I just wasn't comfortable with my body. And so for a long time, I thought theater was a thing I couldn't do. But once I had spent a lot of time writing songs and performing them as a singer-songwriter, and I realized that I could make my own show and no one could stop me. I got very excited about that. And I just love the way that theater gives you an opportunity to talk about feelings, and burst into song. I have been writing since I was a little kid. I wrote a novel about my dog. I wrote when I was probably 10. I come from a family of writers. My aunt is a novelist, and my grandparents have written books, and so has my dad. And it was something that I always knew was a thing one could do, which I feel very lucky about that. But it was pretty much in college when I realized that I wanted to be a writer, and at the time I wanted to be a newspaper reporter. And the thing I love about writing is that even though you're technically, you're sitting down, you're writing, that's the same thing every day. You're never doing the same thing every day, because you have to learn and synthesize information and tell new stories and grow. And I just don't think I could do anything other than that. It's just so much more interesting to me than any other job. The theater experience is unique for the audience and the actors because, honestly, the reason that there's nothing like it is because it's that emotional bond between live performance and live audience is something that, that's the basis upon which church is built, right? There was a very funny tweet somebody did the other day. It was like, I used to be so into worship music, and then I realized I just really like live music, right? It's something that we as humans just are drawn to, and it fills up your heart and it makes you feel things in a way that I think that, watching something on TV or whatever is never going to quite do, because there's, those sound waves are going straight from somebody's mouth to your ears. And that's something that's, it's a religious experience. Theater is my church because I think it's the thing that matters most to me. It's the thing where you can talk about what really matters to you and tell stories. And that's what, religion frequently is. At least it was when I was a kid, of here is a parable and the moral of it is something you can learn from. And that's what I write as well. It's here is a story about people getting along and talking about their feelings. And to me, that's when theater is at its best, is when it's trying to make the world a better place. I love musicals so much. I think the reason is, if I'm to dig into my own psychology, is that I really like people explicitly saying how they feel, because I have a hard time reading human emotion. So, like they say, in a musical, you burst into song when you can no longer speak, the emotion is too strong. And I think so frequently in real life, when the emotion gets too strong and we can no longer speak, we just stop and we go and hide. But in a musical, you can have this opportunity to tell people how you're feeling and to process those feelings. Also, I just love musicals. I love the music. I love listening to it. I've been a big like Disney musicals fan. Alan Menken is my hero since I was a little baby boy. It's just the stuff that has always made the most sense to me. So it feels like both harder than straight theater in that you have to write songs and you have to figure out how to mic them and put music, but it's also to me just like an easier way to tell stories because you can just say exactly what you're thinking, and the corniness is part of it. The show I'm doing is called A Shark Ate My Penis, a story of guys like me, a history of guys like me. It's a show about trans men through the past, and the reason I wanted to write it is I've been reading especially one book called Female Husbands by Jen Mannion, and it told these stories of these guys who were trying to live their truth, from 1700 to 1900 in a world where the word transgender didn't even exist, right? But at the same time, their stories are so similar to mine and so relatable, on an emotional level and on a logistical level of how do you try to get people to see you as a man, and how do you get through your life, and how do you find a woman who wants to be with you even though you may not have the life that people are expecting given the way you look. And it immediately hit me in the face of like, I have to write a musical about this. I have to tell these people's stories because the songs that they would sing are the same songs that I would sing, about their feelings and their struggles. The main story of the musical is mine. It's a story about me and how I came out as trans and why I didn't come out earlier, which is kind of the big mystery for me because when I look back, everything is so obvious. So it's going through that and then diving into the stories of these role models of these guys throughout history and how their stories are pretty much the same as mine. And also dealing with transphobia and people who say that it's not real, and the internalized transphobia that comes from, being a member of this society, which is represented by JK Rowling in the show. So we have, the actual plot has a lot of time travel, has a lot of conversations, has a lot of songs, but ultimately it's just a story told in a funny way about my journey. My goal with this show and what I want the audience to get out of it is catharsis. I don't like shows about queer trauma, so I try to keep it light and the point of it is, hey, we have always been here, and here are some stories that you may not know from history, and also the struggle that we have of defining our identities and finding the right label is both universal and not the end all be all, right? It's you just being yourself and knowing who you are is enough, and that's my goal with the show, whether you're trans or not. I hope that you can learn something and also learn something about your own journey on the way. I'm Laser Weber, creator of A Shark Ate My Penis, and you should come see it, and you will be able to enjoy that. It's a really good time, and I hope you'll come out.